Hello, good morning, and welcome to Unacademy IAS, a one stop destination for all the English medium civil services aspirants. This is Shyam Kaggod here, taking up the Hindu news analysis for 15th July 2026. Now, before I start, please do let me know that I'm audible and visible for all of you. Am I audible and visible for all of you? There's an issue with the sound? Just let me check. Just give me a second. Hello. Okay, how about now? Now it's fine? Still there's echo. Hello. Just give me a second. Some of you are saying there is an echo, some of you are saying there is no echo. Hello. Now do let me know. Now this is fine? This is still echo. Okay, how about now? Check the sound now. Hello. Okay, now. Now it's fine? Is the sound okay? Okay, there should not be. There is double voice. Let me check. Hello. How about now? Is the sound okay now? Not okay? Just give me a minute. Just give me a minute. I'll just check the settings. Okay.
Is the
Is the
audio
audio
fine
fine
now?
now?
Do let
Do
me
let me
know.
know.
Is the
Is the
audio
audio
fine?
fine?
Even
Even
worse.
worse.
Okay,
Okay,
just give me
just
a
give me a
second.
second.
Let me
Let
see
me
what
see
is the
what is the
issue.
issue.
How
How
about
about
now?
now?
How
How
about
about
now?
now?
I've
I've
refreshed.
refreshed.
Not
Not
correct
correct
as of
as
now
of now
also.
also.
Still echo
Still
is
echo is
there.
there.
What is
What
the
is the
issue?
issue?
Just give me
Just give me
some
some
time.
time.
Let me
Let me
check what
check
is the
what is the
issue.
issue.
I don't
I
know
don't
what
know
is
what is
happening
happening
today.
today.
Remove the
Remove the
mic and
mic and
reconnect.
reconnect.
My
My
dear,
dear,
I've
I've
done
done
that.
that.
I've
I've
done
done
all of
all of
this.
this.
Okay,
Okay,
let me
let me
see. I'll
see. I'll
refresh.
refresh. Okay, how about now? Final attempt. Let's see. How about now? Now it's okay? Finally? Great. Thanks a lot. So finally, after a struggle of 15 minutes and refreshing multiple times, the sound is clear. Let's start. So welcome to the Hindu News Analysis. It's still Shyam Kaggod taking up the news analysis for 15th July 2026. This is the list of the topics that I'll be discussing in today's session. And before I start, here is a very important announcement. Right now, the Unacademy IAS prizes are available at the lowest ever of 16,999. And once you enroll using the code IAS English, you'll also become eligible for double validity. And I've been told that the offer is going to end tomorrow. And the specialty of this particular offer is once you enroll using the code at 16,999, if you clear the UPSC, then whatever fees you have paid, the 100% of the fees will be refunded. And if you're not selected, then extra validity under the CSE Assure will be provided to you. There are certain terms and conditions. Do check out the details by clicking on the link provided in the description below. And one more very important announcement. I know a lot of you are beginners of UPSC 2027, the cycle. And in order to help you, we have already started the NCERT series. Under the NCERT series, Mukesh sir has already taken one session yesterday, and today he'll be taking the second session starting at 7 p.m. Do not miss out. He is going to discuss one more very important area of NCERT book, Interior of Earth. Now let me start the discussion. First important article from the editorial page. India USA Defense Tech Ties. The government of India as well as the United States of America, the governments have signed multiple agreements in the past. And within these particular agreements, in order to foster relations, in order to promote trade relations, in order to promote defense ties, etc., multiple agreements have been signed. Some of the important agreements that you'll have to note are one, the first serious attempt in order to institutionalize the trade, or let's say the exchange, not only the trade but also the exchange of technology. And what do I mean by this? You are purchasing defense equipments from USA, from Russia, from France, and many other countries. But please remember this, when the government of India wants to import the defense equipments, it's not that we are focused only on the importing of the defense technology. We want the technology transfer to happen. And what do I mean by technology transfer here? Let's say you purchase certain fighter, right? Let's say jets or fighter engines. Now, these particular fighter jets will be used for multiple years, especially in case of India, where defense expenditure compared to USA, or for that matter China, the defense expenditure is comparatively lot lesser in India. So you will purchase these particular defense, right, let's say equipments, and use it for multiple years, in fact multiple decades. And during this particular process, obviously there will be wear and tear. There will be updates that needs to be installed. There will be, right, let's say certain inputs or certain raw materials, or let's say the spare parts that you need to manufacture and incorporate, etc. So the argument is, when you will purchase these defense equipments, we just don't want to purchase, we want a technology transfer. Everybody is okay? We want a technology transfer. That is, over a period of time, we want to manufacture the spare parts. We want to conduct the maintenance and repairs, etc. within India. And the importance of this is very simple. This will help us reducing import dependence. Everybody is okay? This will help us in reducing the import dependence. We don't have to be import dependent on the country which is exporting or supplying these particular, let's say, fighter jets, etc. And another very important point is, this is also needed to have strategic independence. Strategic independence, that is, over a period of time, we don't know whether the relations between India and USA will continue to be cordial, or there will be certain, let's say, problems in the relations. For example, if you look at the relations between India and USA under the earlier administration, or for that matter, even before, let's say 10 years prior to the current administration, the relations were much cordial. There was more give and take between the government of USA and the government of India. But under the current administration, the change, there is certain change towards how USA administration looks at Indian government or Indian economy. And that is very much visible in terms of, let's say, the trade relations that they want to have with us, the kind of defense exports they want to do to India. And that is also very, right, let's say, very equally visible in terms of how USA is treating their other allies, other partners, be it trade partners or defense partners as well. So government of India simply says, you want to supply defense products to us? Don't simply supply today and take away the money from India. And we are spending, in fact, huge sums of money. Huge amount of money we are paying to import these particular products. For example, the data from the newspaper article itself says, from the year 2002 to recent data, when you look at the total amount of imports that India has done from USA, defense products by the way, we have spent more than $22 billion. We have spent more than $22 billion. Of course, yes. If you ask me, sir, does India only import defense equipments? Absolutely no. India exports as well. India does a lot of exports, especially in the last 3 to 4 years. India's exports have picked up. But the fact of the matter is, we are a big importer of defense products. So the point is, what kind of measures have been implemented so far in order to purchase the defense products along with technology transfer? And has it actually yielded results? Because every now and then, certain representative of USA's administration will visit India, certain agreements will be proposed, signed, and finally the outcome will be, right, there is no transfer of technology. There is no transfer of technology. They will agree to sell to us. They will, right, basically either backtrack from transferring the technology, citing certain reasons, which I'll discuss in some time. or else the whole proposal to supply these particular defense products to India altogether will be cancelled. So have a look at this. The first serious attempt towards the technology transfer between India and USA was done in the year 2012. And that is when there was an agreement which was signed, Defense Technology and Trade Initiative. Defense Technology and Trade Initiative, DTTI. And this basically promoted co-development and co-production. Co-development and co-production. That is certain defense, right, let's say equipments or weapons, etc. will be designed together between India and USA, and then development will happen and the production will also happen where there is a joint venture between India and USA. Just like the BrahMos that is present between India and Russia. So the argument is, what was the outcome then? The argument is, what is the outcome? Outcome has not been satisfactory. After this, we moved on to the Initiative on Critical and Emerging Technologies, that is ICET, which was proposed in the year 2022. And under this also, the proposal was to basically expand the development, etc., between India and USA to semiconductors, artificial intelligence, quantum technologies, telecommunications, etc., etc. What happened? Did it bear fruits? Did it provide any kind of outcomes which are satisfactory to India? Again, the answer remains the same. The other side, that is, let's say USA, and it is not just applicable for USA, please remember, the same argument is applicable for other countries as well. In case of, let's say, India and France, negotiations have taken place. France in many instances has not agreed to implement these kind of reforms where they want to transfer technology. Right? So argument is, why do the countries such as France, such as, right, let's say USA, why do they not agree to transfer technology? Why they're willing to simply supply, get the money from India, but why are they not willing to supply? There are multiple reasons. One, generally these particular countries will have set of laws. They will have a set of laws, and under these particular laws, there will be restriction on exporting certain products. There will be certain laws which will impose a restriction on export of certain types of products. For example, technologies, especially those technologies which will have dual usage, the technologies which are important for national security, technologies which are important for defense, etc., etc. So that is the first reason. Second reason is, countries are very much careful about transferring technology because they are worried that this technology might enter into one more country through the second country, which is not a friendly country for, let's say, USA, France, etc. For example, what if India will supply the technology to India, USA will supply the technology to India, and USA and Russia have got very close relations. What if, I'm not saying India is doing this, by the way, what if this particular technology is accessible or made accessible over a period of time by India to Russia? That is not feasible, that is not acceptable to USA. And that is the precise reason why USA is not willing to supply the latest arms technology to Pakistan, by the way. Please remember, this is the simple reason why USA is so much worried about supplying the latest arms technology to Pakistan, because Pakistan has got very close relations with China. USA does not want these kind of technologies either through legal methods or illegal methods to enter into the hands of China, because USA and China are adversaries. At least that has been the thought earlier, but the current president doesn't seem to feel that both are adversaries, by the way. So that is the second reason. Third reason, the countries do not want to transfer technologies because they want a continuous stream of orders coming from the country which is purchasing the technology. For example, USA will purchase, let's say, fighter jets from another country, right? Another country may not transfer the complete technology, right? France will supply the fighter jets to India. They will not transfer the complete technology to India. Why? France wants a continuous order from India for maintenance, repairs. There will be a lot of clauses provided under this. If they transfer the complete technology, India will continue to work, conduct R&D on this technology, and might basically create a better version by decoding the let's say the technology that has been supplied by France or USA to India. So these are all the reasons which are cited. These are all the reasons which are cited by the suppliers of arms, equipments, defense technology, etc., where these countries want to supply the products to India, but they do not want to transfer technology. And multiple agreements have been signed between India and USA to transfer weapons. For example, there is a javelin weapon which USA wanted to supply to India. India demanded that there should be a transfer of technology as well. The same thing happened between India as well as the France regarding certain type of fighter jets. So these particular countries are not open to supplying the technology, but they are willing to supply the arms, weapons, equipments to importing countries such as India. Everybody is okay with this discussion? So multiple agreements are there in the newspaper. Please have a look at this. Indus X. This is the recent, the one of the most recent agreements or the proposals which has been put forward between India and United States. Indus X stands for India United States Defense Acceleration Ecosystem. This has been launched in 2023 to link defense startups, academia, and industry, so that there is better cooperation, coordination, development of technologies that can be done by having all of these stakeholders in the same system. So associated with this, I'll come back to the MCQ. Here is a descriptive question. India-US defense relations have witnessed remarkable growth in defense trade, but limited progress in defense technology collaboration. Critically examine the statement. Critically examine the statement. Okay, this is a question for you to practice mains answer writing. And like I tell you, every time that I take newspaper analysis, please practice mains answer writing. Because according to me, of the two stages, prelims and the mains, mains is the most toughest stage that you will face, because you will have to write answers, not simply round dots, write answers. So here is a question. Which of the following regarding Indus X are correct? Are correct. That is, how many of these particular statements regarding Indus X are correct? It is an agreement signed between the Quad members. It was launched in 2023. Its objective is to link defense startups, academia, and industry. First statement is incorrect. Let me start solving. Unlike earlier, where I used to give time for you to solve, because there is already a delay. It is an agreement signed between the Quad members? No. This is not between or amongst the Quad members. This is between India and USA. It was launched in 2023, correct. Its objective is to link defense startups, academia, and industry. That's also correct. So 2 and 3 are correct. Right option for the question will be option B, only 2. Okay, let's move on to the next article now. Trial in absentia. What is meant by trial in absentia? This has been there in the newspaper. Listen to me carefully, because of one particular, one particular judgment that has been issued by NIA trial court. Very recently, Hafiz Saeed, a UN designated terrorist, Hafiz Saeed, there is an arrest warrant, non-bailable arrest warrant that has been issued by the NIA court, National Investigation Agency court in Jammu and Kashmir. Now the government representatives, that is the Minister of External Affairs representatives, have clarified that they will go through the proper channel. Proper channel in the sense, yes, there is a non-bailable arrest warrant that has been issued, because he is basically the mastermind mastermind in Pahalgam terrorist attack. So there is an arrest warrant. They will go through the proper channels, wherein this particular arrest warrant information and other documents will be given by the government of India's officials to the Pakistani government officials, and they will seek extradition of this particular individual who is already a UN designated terrorist. But the argument is very simple. It's not the first time that this kind of this kind of case has happened, where certain person who is not present in a country, against the person there is an arrest warrant that has been issued. This is a very common theme across multiple cases across countries around the world. That is the reason there is a concept under the BNSS, Bharatiya Nyaya Samhita. Under the BNSS, which has replaced the Criminal Procedure Code, there is section 356. There is section 356. Now, this particular section 356 basically talks about, right, a proclaimed offender who has absconded, and now there will be, right, let's say the proceedings conducted against this particular proclaimed offender in the absence of the offender. That is, in simple terms, let's say there is a charge sheet which has been filed against me, hypothetically. Hypothetically, I know a lot of you will feel, yes sir, there should be a charge sheet filed against you, right, because you teach economics, which is a crime against students. I know a lot of you will feel that, but let's imagine there's a charge sheet which has been filed against me. Now, under the earlier CRPC, there was a probability that I will abscond. I will basically run away. I will shift from India to some other country, etc., etc. I will not come in, right, let's say, into the hands of the police personnel at all. In such cases, these particular cases would keep on happening for multiple years, right? Because there was a huge delay. The person against whom the proceedings have to happen in the court, that person is missing. That person is absconding, right? So there was a lot of delay in conducting the procedures. It was a basic burden on the judiciary as well, and the justice was not delivered swiftly. That is the precise reason under the BNSS there is section 356, which has plugged this particular loophole. It has plugged this particular loophole. What does the section 356 basically say? The court can basically enter into the records stating that this particular person who is not willing to appear in the court, he is or she is a proclaimed offender. He or she is a proclaimed offender, right? And there's a particular process that has been prescribed under the law. How do you, right, basically conduct the process, right? So once you're declared as a proclaimed offender, then even if you're absconding, even if you're not there, then the court proceedings will continue to happen against you, right, as if you are present in the court only. Is everybody okay? This is basically the concept of the trial in absentia. Trial in absentia. And this is nothing new, by the way. It's a very common practice around the world. For example, very recently you must have heard of what happened in Bangladesh, right? How people overthrew the government there, right? And there was a proceeding conducted against the former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina in absentia. And even in case of India, in multiple instances, the economic offenders basically run away. They escape from the country. There is an Economic Offenders Act, but that will basically help the government of India to take away the assets, to confiscate the assets, to notify this offender as an economic offender. But the trials can be conducted now under the section 356 of Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita. Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita. Done. Now, what are the important points here? Now, don't focus on the terrorist organization, LET, etc. Focus on the important points under the BNSS. The law simply states that once the court will notify you or, right, designate you as a proclaimed offender, then the proceedings can continue to happen, right? But the law, does it allow the court to designate anybody, that is anybody against whom the charge sheet has been filed? Can anybody be proclaimed as a or designated as a proclaimed offender? The law states only in certain instances where the crime attracts a very high number of punishment or very higher punishment. For example, under section 84, subsection 4, where a proclamation has been issued against a person who is accused of an offense which is punishable with an imprisonment of 10 years or more, right, or life imprisonment or death under BNSS 2023. Only in such instances can the court conduct trial in absentia. First, declare you as a proclaimed offender and then conduct trial in absentia. Done. And what is the procedure? What is the process? How the court has to conduct this particular process? Step number 1, the court first must issue 2 consecutive arrest warrants with an interval between both of them, which is at least 30 days. Issue 2 arrest warrants, and there should be a gap between both of them of at least 30 days. In the second step, a notice will be published in a national or local newspaper notifying that this has been done by the court. After this, the court must also inform a relative or a friend of the accused about upcoming trial. And fourth step, a copy of the trial notice must be pasted at a visible place or at a visible part, right, of the accused home and displayed at the local police station as well. And after all of these particular steps are followed, now there has to be a time period of 90 days provided. After all these steps, wait for 90 days and then, right, basically submit the official charges and conduct the process. So these are certain very important points in the context of trial in absentia. Everybody is okay? Everybody is okay? A lot of you are worried about what has happened in the past. My dear, the Bharatiya Nyaya Samhita 2023 has come into force very recently. You people are worried what happened in 1990, sir? What happened in 1950, sir? What happened in 1947, sir? What happened in let's say 1999, sir? Don't focus on all of it. Focus on what is let's say the current situation. Which of the following, consider the following statements. Which of the above statements is or are correct? The BNSS has a sections to conduct the trial in absentia. I've discussed this. Important section is section 356, section 84, These are the important sections. First statement is correct. Second one, the provisions under BNSS is applicable to only Indian citizens. Only the Indian citizens. No. The BNSS provisions are applicable even if the foreigner commits a crime in India. I hope you understand. Irrespective of the crime being committed, whether this is being committed by an Indian citizen or a foreign citizen, BNSS is applicable in those instances. So, second statement is incorrect. First one is correct. Right option for the question is option A. Let me move on to the next article. Youth and politics. The disruptive rise of India's new political generation. There are multiple instances or the events that have taken place in the recent past, which has shaped or which has changed how, let's say, elections are being conducted in India, the political dispensation, or how, let's say, the elections are fought. For example, in the state of Tamil Nadu, historically, when you see, there are two dominant political parties. Generally, one would come into power, replacing the other. And very recently, what has happened? A new political party, which is not even 5 or 6 years old, the new political party, that is TVK, has won the election, and a new chief minister, has been brought to power. Is this the, let's say, one incidence which has basically changed the discourse of politics in India? Of course, no. I'm pretty sure all of you heard of, the Cockroach Janata Party. Correct? All of you heard of this? CJP, Cockroach Janata Party. Now, what does these kind of, let's say, the happenings in the Indian society or Indian politics, what do they signify? Please understand, there are multiple countries around the world where, let's say, there have been protests by the people against the policies of the government. And there have been instances where revolution has taken place. The existing government has been overthrown. New people have been brought into power because the people have voted in favor of these particular, let's say, the contestants, etc. But in case of India, as of now, there is no such revolution where, let's say, there is a violence, there is overthrowing of the government, etc. And it should remain like that. We have democracy, a vibrant democracy. We have elections, a very, let's say, transparent, let's say, elections which are being conducted.
at least we should go through that particular process. If you are not happy with the policies of a, let's say, certain political party, you can always show that in the way you vote, right? In the way you vote for certain political party or, let's say, certain individual. The argument is, then what explains the rise of cockroach Janata Party? What explains the rise of, right, let's say, the actor Vijay going on to become the chief minister within a short time period, when there are, right, let's say, so many dominant political parties in Tamil Nadu, etc. That is exactly what is discussed in this article. There are certain factors which have contributed, right, to this particular, right, let's say, outcomes in India. First one is, the youth population in India is very large. The population which can be considered according to the age group youth, it is very, very large in India. Generally, the youth is told that the seniors know better, the elders know better, and the kind of youth population or Gen Z that we have today doesn't agree with that, right? And that should be the approach, by the way. Question, right? So the Gen Z population, right, doesn't accept it. They are basically of the opinion that anybody who will accept, right, let's say, what is correct, anybody who will basically come to power and address their problem, listen to their problem, try to resolve their issues, they want those particular people to come to power. Right? They want those people to come to power because the argument is, the old population, or let's say the seniors in the political party, they are very rigid in their viewpoint. They are very rigid in their viewpoint. What the Gen Z requires is somebody in the power to address issues such as unemployment, somebody in the power to address issues associated with corruption, somebody in the power to address issues which will help, right, promote growth along with development, eradicate poverty, etc., etc. Everybody is okay? So this is one reason why there is a sudden rise of a new political party in Tamil Nadu, and one more reason why there is a sudden rise in the cockroach Janata Party. This is the first one. Second very important reason why this is happening in India is basically the usage of technology. Usage of technology. Gone are those days when political parties would hold only rallies to communicate with the people. Gone are those days, right, when the leaders would come, hold a microphone and speak to the people directly once in a year, once in every quarter, etc. Now, on day-to-day basis, the youth population or others also want communications, want right, basically a direct channel between the leaders as well as the people. For example, today, if you're saying, a lot of these political parties have started using technology such as Twitter, which is earlier name, right now it is X. They're using platforms, social media platforms such as Instagram, right, in many of the political parties. They're using YouTube, etc. So argument is, new types of, right, technologies are being adopted, and, right, basically the messaging has been conveyed to the people using these particular technologies. And the current trend in case of India along with many other countries is that it's not just communicating message, it is communicating a message in a way that is making more sense, as well as it is a funny way to communicate, a fun way to communicate. The best example for this is Cockroach Janata Party itself. Cockroach Janata Party. That is basically, it arose, or the idea of a Cockroach Janata Party, right, basically took shape because of one of the observation or the statement that was given by the Chief Justice of India. By the time he came and he clarified what was his opinion, why did he use the term cockroaches, parasites, etc. By the time he clarified, even after clarification, by the way, it became a meme material. It became a meme material, and that actually led to, right, let's say, the Cockroach Janata Party, and which is basically conducting multiple, right, let's say, or which is protesting against some of the policies of the current government of India. Right, so these are some of the reasons behind the change in the, right, let's say, the politic landscape, or the way the politics is being done in India. right? And that has helped rise of Cockroach Janata Party as well as certain other leaders such as actor Vijay. Done. So I don't expect a prelims based question on this, but definitely yes, in mains, a lot of these particular points that we have discussed will become relevant for you. Done. Everybody is okay with the discussion so far? Do let me know in the chat section. Everybody is okay with the discussion so far? Can we go forward? Great. Certain other important articles which are from the Hindu newspaper, and by the way, I'll give you one article from today's Financial Express as well. Inaugural Index of Services Production shows 14 sectors grew in double digits. Very important article as far as I'm concerned from GS paper 3 for prelims as well as mains. Very, very important article. Why? MOSPI, that is Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation, has implemented multiple measures in recent times to improve the quality of statistical data collection as well as publication of results. Done? Right? The data collection as well as publication of results. For example, earlier we changed the methodology to, right, or basically rebasing exercise was conducted in context of GDP. We have changed, right, the methodology as well as the base year, the composition, etc. for WPI, CPI as well as IIP, Index of Industrial Production. We also have come out with, right, a producer price index now, PPI, over a period of time, that is after 5 years, which will be replacing WPI. Now there is one more index that is being published starting from this month, and that is Index of Services Production. Index of Services Production, ISP. And what is the importance of Index of Services Production? The Index of Services Production will basically measure the changes in the output from the services sector. Is it okay? The changes in the output from the services sector. We have Index of Industrial Production, but that is more oriented towards manufacturing, industry, electricity. But the problem is, in case of India, the services sector accounts for more than 50% of the GDP. Hence, we should have one more indicator that will measure the changes in the services sector. That is the precise reason MOSPI has started publishing the ISP with a base year of 24 and 25. Everybody can see this particular picture here. Please do let me know. This is a screenshot of the notes that I've done. I'd have a look at this. And this is also to tell you how to make notes. A lot of you keep on asking me, sir, how to make notes. These are the important points that you'll have to note down if you're reading newspapers. Of course, the problem with Hindu will be it doesn't cover all the important aspects or all the important points related to ISP. I'll tell you what has been missed in Hindu, by the way. MOSPI will release a new index to measure the changes in the output of services sector. It will have a base year of 24 and 25. And have a look at this. The output will be measured by considering 19 subsectors. 19 subsectors, okay? And it will be released with a lag of 60 days from the end of the reference month. Now, before you ask me, sir, what is the meaning of it? Please look at the headline very carefully. Please look at the headline of the article very carefully. The ISP that has been published in the month of July, all of you know we are in the month of July. The ISP which has been published in the month of July, it is representing the result of ISP in the month of April. In the month of April, meaning what? What has been the change in the output for the month of April will be published after 60 days from the end of month of April. Is everybody able to understand? So there will be a lag of 2 months, that is a 60 days from the end of reference month. Why this is important? It's not that this has been done for the first time, and this is not the first country to do this as well. For example, European Union has the ISP. United Kingdom has the ISP. India is not the first country to have it. The idea is, until now, we have tried it. We have set up multiple committees to give recommendations regarding measuring the changes in the services. But it is very difficult to measure the changes in the services because these are invisibles. The services are intangibles or invisibles. So very difficult to measure the output. Now somebody will be ready with the question. In that case, what has changed now? If you are saying services are very difficult to measure, how can you measure the services now? What has changed? Argument is simple. From 1st July 2017, we have started implementing GST, Goods and Services Tax. Correct? That GST will measure changes, right? Changes, right, in the, let's say the production done in the goods as well as services. We are measuring the market prices, or we are calculating GST, imposing it and collecting, and we can measure how much is the volume of production of goods as well as services. That is possible. In addition to this, there is also a survey which is being conducted now. Annual survey of incorporated sector, service sector enterprises. And please underline this particular term, incorporated. A lot of you will get confused. There is one more survey, annual survey of unincorporated sector enterprises. That is unincorporated, informal, incorporated, formal. Right? So there is also a survey which is being conducted. So GST is there. The ASISSE survey is there. So using this particular data, we will be able to calculate how much is the change in the output of services sector. Right? So these are certain very important points associated with ISP. But one point, not that important, but looking at the trend of UPSC, to make the question very difficult, UPSC can ask you this question. They will simply ask you the calculation of WPI, CPI, right, or for that matter ISP is dependent on which of these particular formulas. There is an index, that is a methodology of calculation of index, very famous by the way, Laspeyres volume index. Laspeyres volume index. The Laspeyres volume index is taken by the government, that is MOSPI, to calculate CPI, to calculate WPI, as well as to calculate ISP. Right? Basically a method to calculate index number. So please remember this particular point as well. And this was not mentioned in Hindu, but other newspapers this was there. Everybody is okay with the ISP now? Please do let me know. Okay, here is a question. Please solve it and tell me the correct answer quickly. Consider the following statements regarding ISP. The base year is same as that of IIP, WPI and CPI. It will be published by the Ministry of Labour. It will measure the changes in the output using Laspeyres volume index. Right, so first statement, the base year is same as that of IIP, WPI and CPI. My dear, CPI base year is 2024. WPI base year and IIP base year is 2022 and 2023. Right, so first statement is incorrect. It will be published by the Ministry of Labour. No, that is also incorrect. It will measure the changes in the output by using Laspeyres volume index. Yes. Technical statement. Yes, that is correct. Right, statement, only one statement, that is third one is correct. MOSPI, my dear, some of you are saying MOZSPI. MOSPI is Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. MOSPI is Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. Okay, let's go forward. Right, if you are yet to see the changes that the government of India has done, that is MOSPI has done in terms of calculating CPI, WPI, IIP, please go through all of this. Please go through all of it. Okay. Next, Supreme Court weighs SOP for urgent cases affecting life, liberty. Right. What are the important points here? Simple. There have been multiple instances in India across multiple states where police will go into a home of, right, let's say an accused, arrest them, night. They will put them in locker, right? Let's say jail. They will, right, lock them up, and that particular, right, activity or action will be taken by the police. let's say Friday night. In multiple instances, early morning itself, even before the people are waking up, demolition drives are conducted by the authorities. There was instance earlier in one of the states in India where certain forest was cleared, or very sensitive region was cleared, forest was cleared by the government bulldozers. The argument of many of the experts is these kind of activities are conducted by the government officials because they know that the court is not accessible to the common man. The court is not accessible to the common man, or judiciary is not accessible to the common man at that point of time. Of course, if you're very rich, there have been multiple instances in India. If you're very influential, you must have seen Supreme Court has held hearings even midnight, has given the bail to certain people midnight as well. But let's say I am arrested, let's say you are arrested. Will the Supreme Court take up this particular case midnight and issue an order to release me? Right? So you let me know whether that is going to happen or not. So argument is there is a petition in the Supreme Court now. There is a petition in the Supreme Court. The petition basically argues that just because the working hours of court is over, it should not mean court is not accessible for emergency hearings. It should not be that court is not accessible for the emergency hearing, because there are matters related to constitutionality. There are matters related to life and death. There are matters related to the kind of activities which will have a larger impact or the chilling effect on the whole society. So the court should be accessible even though the working hours are over. So this particular petition now has been taken up by the Supreme Court of India, and the Supreme Court says we will have a standard operating procedure. We will have an SOP when or for urgent cases. We will have an SOP to take up the urgent cases which are affecting life and liberty. This is just an update. What is the SOP? It is yet to be announced by the Supreme Court. It is just an update. Okay. Now, let's move forward. National Health and Research Policy 2026. Everybody is okay? Please do let me know in the chat section. Everybody is able to follow the discussion? Can I move forward to the next article? The draft National Health Research Policy proposes changing India's research ecosystem. What are the important points? There has been multiple instances where there has been a criticism regarding how much is the overall expenditure that is incurred in developing, let's say, technologies associated with healthcare. Research and development in healthcare. Synergy amongst multiple departments, multiple authorities, multiple institutions, where there is a requirement of cooperation, coordination in order to have right approach towards, let's say, development of certain technologies, development of drugs according to requirement of society, according to the requirement of the society right now. So in order to address this particular problem, the government of India now has come out with draft National Health and Research Policy. Draft National Health and Research Policy. We have the earlier policy 2011. This is being updated by the government. Now, one of the very important reasons why government of India is doing this is, according to the World Health Organization, the expenditure that is incurred in India on health research is hardly around 0.024%. 0.024%. I hope you understand the meaning of it. Percentage of what? GDP. Whereas in developed countries or the peers of Indian economy, it is much, much greater. The government of India basically wants to increase this particular expenditure on healthcare. By 2047, we want this to become 0.15% of GDP. 0.15% of GDP. And those who are wondering, sir, what is the global average? What is the average in developed economies, etc.? The average, according to the World Health Organization, is 0.27%. So it doesn't matter even if we keep on increasing it. by 2047, are we going to, right, let's say cross the average expenditure, right? That is WHO average. We are not going to cross that. But essentially what is going to happen is, it is, right, basically one policy where Government of India says by 2047, I want to become Viksit Bharat. At the same point of time, I also want to ensure that investment, research and development in healthcare will be increasing. In this particular regard, these are certain important policy announcements or the provisions that have been put in the draft. It's a draft policy right now. What are the important points regarding the draft? And don't write down, download the PPT. Please don't write it down, download the PPT. This particular draft has been prepared by Department of Health Research. And the Department of Health Research functions under the Ministry of Health. And this will be, that is the Department of Health Research will be the nodal authority. It will be the nodal authority regarding the implementation of the policy of 2026. According to the policy, they have identified certain diseases which will be priority areas for research. Priority areas for research. The diseases that have been notified under this are tuberculosis, antimicrobial resistance, vector-borne diseases, cancer, non-communicable diseases, mental health, etc., etc. The list is given here. Have a look at it. And what is the importance of this? Once the policy will be implemented, these will be the diseases in which the national policy, expenditure, research and development, all of them will be prioritized. That is, all of them will focus on these areas only. Is it okay? All of these will be focused on these areas. Next, the report also, that is the draft also says there are a lot of issues in case of healthcare sector in India. What kind of issues? One, the overall expenditure is very less in India. And especially the public expenditure. Public expenditure means government. The public expenditure is also very, very less in India. That's the first very important concern. Second, the expenditure or the investment that is done across all the states is not uniform. There is uneven investment in R&D. There is no synergy between the investment in R&D that is done by, let's say, the public institutions or private sector institutions and what is actually needed to be addressed for public health care. That is, for us right now, disease A is a bigger problem. We are facing a lot of difficulties to overcome the disease A. But the organizations in the private sector, they are investing a lot of money in R&D to conduct, right, let's say research to, right, get a cure for treating, let's say, disease X. So there is a lot of, right, unevenness in terms of, right, let's say expenditure in investment in R&D. There are a lot of agencies which are doing, right, let's say overlapping work. There is a duplication of the work that is done by the agencies. That's the reason I said all these agencies now will be brought under this particular framework, right? So in addition to this, delays in translating research into healthcare and policy. We are doing a lot of R&D, but by the time this R&D, that is a product that has been developed, will start providing benefits to people, there is a lot of time that is consumed. It could happen because of documentation. It could happen because of the regulations to conduct multiple rounds of trials as mandated by the government. It could happen because there is a delay in getting the patents approved by the government, etc., etc. And one more very important area that has been flagged by this particular draft is focus right now to evaluate what is the, let's say, achievement of experts, that is researchers. Right now, we evaluate their achievement or their success by looking at how many papers they are publishing. Correct? Everybody is able to understand whether this particular researcher is good researcher, best researcher or not. We evaluate it based on how many papers they have published. And especially the focus will be how many of these papers are peer reviewed. That is, whatever, right, let's say results have been put forward by this particular researcher are tested by somebody else. They accept these particular results, etc. Rather than this, the draft basically says, let's change the focus, let's change the approach. Going forward, it proposes that the evaluation of the researchers or the scientists will be done on a framework that has been put forward by ICMR, Indian Council for Medical Research. They have come out with Impact of Research and Innovation Scale that was published in 2025. So going forward, this particular framework will be utilized to evaluate the effectiveness of the research done by the scientist. National Health Research Agenda will also be set up. It has been proposed under this. It will identify the priority research areas based on what is the disease burden on the society or on the whole economy, emerging health threats, health system requirements, as well as what is the priority for India. Done. And finally, what about the state governments? What is the duty of the states here? The states will also have their own role to play. That is, for a particular state, it will know better if there are any certain diseases, any health related issues which is troubling the people in that particular state. So the states will also have basically the power to identify what kind of troubles in terms of healthcare is faced by the population in residing or in residency of that particular state. Right? So they will have their own health research agenda based on local disease patterns. Everybody is okay? So these are certain important points which have been proposed under the draft National Health Research Policy 2026. Can I go forward to the next article now? Please do let me know. And a lot of you have become dormant already. Dormant. Sirs, enough. Right? We have learned too many things. Enough. Starting from, right, let's say the defense, right, let's say defense pacts between India and USA to the healthcare sector, we have learned sufficient. No, more articles are there. Let me cover them. Herbicide, Paraquat proposal to ban has been approved by the government. The union government has come out with a proposal to ban the herbicide Paraquat. Now listen to me very carefully. This particular herbicide, which is commonly known as Paraquat, it is known as, or its name is actually Paraquat dichloride. Paraquat dichloride. And I know a lot of you who are from the chemistry background will be so happy today. Will be so happy. Why? You have started preparing for UPSC for the last 6 months. Nothing related to chemistry you have come across. Suddenly you have come across Paraquat dichloride. You will write an essay on this now. Right? So argument is simple. The government of India has come out with a proposal to ban the import, the production, the sale, the distribution of Paraquat dichloride. Why? Reason is simple. Even before the central government has come out with this particular proposal, in some of the other states, already there is a resolution passed by the government to ban the sale of this chemical. Reason behind this is there have been multiple instances. For example, in Telangana state itself, more than 200 people have said to be committed suicide by consuming this herbicide. More than 200 people, mind you, in a single state, they have committed suicide by consuming this particular, right, let's say herbicide. So there are multiple states, Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, where the governments have realized this is a kind of a chemical which is used in agriculture. But in addition to usage in agriculture, there is more harm being done to the health of the people, right? That's a reason a ban has been proposed by the government. And this is not the first time that a country has proposed a ban on this herbicide. Already there are more than 70 countries. Which have either imposed a ban or have made it very, very difficult to get access to this particular herbicide. This herbicide is used as a desiccant, basically to dry out, in order to address the growth of the herbs in the, right, let's say agriculture field. Right, so everybody is okay. The government of India initially set up a committee, and please remember the name of the committee. It was headed by P.K. Singh. An expert committee was set up, and this expert committee looked at all of these issues and has recommended that we should ban the sale of the Paraquat dichloride in India. And regarding this, right, the proposal has been, let's say the proposal has been approved by the central government or notified by the central government. Everybody is okay? And the dangerous part, it is mentioned in the last line of the article. The most dangerous part associated with this chemical or herbicide is that there is no antidote for this. There is no antidote. There is absolutely no antidote. If you consume this, right, there is, right, let's say a lot of people have actually consumed and have committed suicide. That is a precise reason this particular proposal has been put forward. Committee recommendation is there. The government has notified this. Okay. So based on this, here is an MCQ. Consider the following statements regarding paraquat dichloride. India has become the first country in the world to ban the sale of this chemical. Answer is incorrect. This is incorrect. I've already told you. More than 70 countries have already taken action. This is used as desiccation for the crops. This is used for desiccation of the crops. Yes, desiccation simply means it will dry the crops, especially in crops such as cotton, etc. Once you apply this, you require physical application. It's a contact chemical herbicide. So once you apply this, right, you will observe that it will start drying and easily the harvesting can be done. Okay. Third one, it does not have an antidote. This statement is also true. Of 3, 2 statements are correct. Right option will be option B. Let's move forward. Next article. The government of India now has proposed a real-time vessel by vessel monitoring, appointment of dedicated liaison officers amongst many other measures. Why? Please understand what is happening in West Asia, that is specifically the Strait of Hormuz. After more than 100 days of friction between or fighting between two countries there, right, USA and Israel, USA and Iran. Israel every now and then will come attack, right. Basic argument is there was a memorandum of understanding that was signed between USA and Iran. For some time there was peace. The vessels were easily passing through the Strait of Hormuz, and now the memorandum of understanding has become memorandum of misunderstanding. So there is again attacks by both of these particular countries. USA is attacking Iran. Iran, right, in turn is attacking the bases in other countries, US bases in other countries, etc. And very recently there have been attacks conducted on the vessels which are passing through the Strait of Hormuz. Again there is a blockade. But when these attacks are conducted, whether this particular ship or the vessel is Indian flagged vessel or, right, any other foreign country, right, flagged vessel, lot of Indian workers are present on these particular vessels, merchant navy personnel. So lot of Indian citizens are working, right, for their livelihood on these particular vessels. And when the attacks are conducted, there is a complete or very high possibility that Indian, right, seafarers or Indians will, right, basically become the victims of it. And it has happened in the past, it has happened again this week. So government of India now has decided it will implement certain measures to provide assistance to the seafarers. And again I am repeating this. This proposal that has been put forward by the government is not going to target only the Indian flagged vessels. Focus is not on flagging of the vessels. Focus is on Indians. The Indian seafarers, whether they are working on right, Indian flagged vessel or a non-Indian flagged vessel, doesn't matter. If Indians are working, we will provide the assistance. What kind of assistance? The Ministry of Shipping has stated that now there will be real-time vessel by vessel tracking. Vessel by vessel tracking, that is a portal will be developed, and all the vessels where Indians are working, we will keep a track of these vessels. And not just this, there will be some vessels on which Indians are working and this will come under the attack. Now there will be a liaison officer, dedicated liaison officer who is going to be appointed, and this liaison officer will be one point or single point of contact between the seafarer who is suffering because of the attack as well as the family of the seafarer. Whatever assistance is required, whatever assistance, you need healthcare assistance, you need to communicate, whatever assistance is required, this liaison officer will be responsible for all of this. Then everybody is okay. In addition to this, the Ministry of Shipping also stated that we will have a synergic approach. That is, right, the government will not be working individually in silos here. There are multiple departments under multiple ministries where there is a requirement of cooperation and coordination. For example, there will be certain requirement of cooperation between Navy, right? There will be requirement of cooperation from the officials from the Ministry of External Affairs, right? So all these ministries, departments, right, all of these, right, whoever is required in order to have this kind of assistance, right, to the seafarers, we will have, right, whole of government approach. We will have whole of government approach. Done. So these are certain important points regarding the Seafarer First Response platform that has been proposed by the government. Next, the acid ingestion included in the amended act. The central government has informed the Supreme Court of India that even those people who suffer because there is accidents or because there is instances of acid ingestion, they will also be covered under the act, right? That is rights of persons with disabilities. Rights of persons with disabilities act. Understand the logic. Earlier we had, right, that is the RPwD Act of 1995. This act was reframed, replaced with a new act 2016. Under the new act, the number of disabilities have been expanded. Under the earlier act, there were 7 disabilities. Under the 2016 act, there were more than 20 disabilities. More than 20 disabilities, by the way. But one of the areas or one of these particular issues was flagged by the Supreme Court of India earlier. Under the new list of disabilities, the government covers, please have a look at the list here. The government covers the acid attack victim. Number 20. Everybody is able to see this? Number 20. The government covers acid attack victim. But there is a problem here. The acid attacks after especially 2013. This is the statement of Supreme Court of India, by the way. After 2013, there have been multiple instances where people have been attacked where the acid is not just thrown externally like this. That is, you must have seen in multiple cases the people are thrown with the acid on the face. But there have been multiple instances where the people have been forced to ingest acid. That is, they have been caught hold of and they have been forced, they have been fed with the acid. So what if the acid attack has happened but there is an internal injury? What if there is an attack but there is an internal injury? The 2016 Act did not cover that kind of a disability. Everybody is able to understand? The 2016 Act did not cover that as a disability under, right, the 2016 Act, and that was flagged by the Supreme Court of India. Now, the Government of India has clarified that the Government of India has amended the Act, and even if the disability, or let's say there is an, right, let's say disability because of ingestion of the acid, even those people will be covered as disabled people or Divyangjan under the, right, RPwD Act of 2016. Is everyone okay with this? Now, associated with this, I'll give you one more important article. Please have a look at this. Very niche article. Suddenly UPSC can throw you this kind of a question. How many of you know what is the meaning of purple economy, or the purple economy? Be honest, by the way. How many of you know meaning of purple economy? What is the meaning of purple economy? There is a report that has been published, right, very recently by the Union Ministry of Skill Development, who has come out with white paper, and there is a report published by Deloitte. Right, this particular report states that there is a huge opportunity in the context of purple economy in India. Some of you are saying you know it, great. Others who do not know it, understand the logic. Purple economy simply refers to an economic framework where there is a recognition of people with disabilities. There is a recognition for the people with disabilities, right? The customers, workers, entrepreneurs, taxpayers, etc., whoever contributes to growth. So there is a huge market in India. This is the Deloitte report. There is a huge market in India. Market in the sense, again, do not look at it in a negative sense. The argument of this report is let's say there is a Divangjan or disabled person, very knowledgeable, right, very skillful, but if right support is not provided, the economy will not be able to get the productivity from this particular worker, right? You need to provide the support. You need to ensure, right, all the forms of support is available. And according to the report itself, right, have a look at this. Because there is no support system, right, sufficient, efficient support system is not there, annually we end up losing GDP to the extent of 3% to 7%. Annually, we end up losing GDP to the extent of 3% to 7%. So, Deloitte has come out with a report which states there is an opportunity for economy to ensure that, right, let's say the purple economy is provided with the right support system. At the same point of time, it is all related to economic activity. We will be able to, right, tap into the market of 150 billion as well. And regarding this, like I said earlier, the Minister for Skill Development, MSDE, this particular minister has come out, or this minister has come out with a white paper focused on purple economy. Again, related to concept of, right, let's say people with disabilities in India. Everybody is okay with these two articles? Let's solve the question here. Which of the following statements is or are correct, right? RPwD Act 2016 has expanded the number of disabilities to 21 compared to 7 in the earlier act. The statement is correct, right? And how many disabilities, right? I've shown you this particular screenshot of PIB. Please have a look at it. Second one, India has ratified the UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities. Has India ratified this? Yes. The UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities basically was approved by the United Nations, adopted by the United Nations in the year 2007. India ratified this in the year 2007, right? And finally, this particular, the UNCRPD came into effect from the year 2008. Remember, the years can be asked in the prelims examination. So both the statements are true. Right option will be option C for the question. Now, next article. India bans imports of goods made using forced labor. In USA, there are two investigations under Section 301. Under Section 301 that are being conducted against India through two Section 301 report. One of them is associated with, is India helping create excess capacity through the subsidies, which is leading to more exports from India to USA, which is leading to more exports from India to USA and which is hurting in the American market. And second investigation is whether India has taken sufficient measures in order to reduce the imports which are manufactured in countries where there is forced labor usage. Where there is forced labor usage. Now, before you ask me, sir, what is the meaning of forced labor? This is the definition that has been given by International Labour Organization, ILO. And just on a lighter note, when I read the definition, I was reminded of you people, that is UPSC aspirants. I'll tell you why. Forced labor simply means all work or service which is extracted from any person under the menace of any penalty and for which the said person has not offered himself voluntarily as defined under ILO. Now, why do I say I was reminded of you people? My dear, you people, right, have not volunteered. Again, on a lighter note, please don't write it. You have not volunteered that you want to read Indian economy. You want to read, right, let's say this subject, that subject. But because you're worried that you will be penalized. Penalized how? You will not be able to become IAS officer. UPSC will not select you, etc. Because there is a threat of, right, penalty like this, you are working, you are learning economics, you are learning current affairs, etc., etc. Again, this is on a lighter note. Please don't write this an example of a forced labor in the UPSC examination. But what is fundamentally the meaning? Voluntarily you're not interested, but there is a threat. You're worried about, right, the penalty that you will face. For that particular purpose, you will work. This is called as a forced labor. Forced labor, correct? Now, what is the issue here? The USTR, United States Trade Representative, citing Section 301, has started investigations against India along with many other countries, by the way. The contention is that Government of India has not implemented sufficient reforms where we are identifying the imports that are coming into India because of production that is done using forced labor. Let's say some other country, production is happening using forced labor. We are importing the product from that country. We should not be importing. Argument is, because I'm importing, there will be continuous usage of forced labor in the exporting country. So has Government of India taken sufficient reforms? USA says no. Right? So that particular investigation has started, and under that particular investigation, it has been proposed that against India, tariff of 12.5% will be imposed, because we are not doing sufficient, right, let's say sufficient reforms to control the imports like this, right. 12.5% tariff will be imposed on India's exports. So against this, now the Government of India says we have taken reforms, we have taken measures. We will amend Foreign Trade Policy 2023, FTP 2023. Under the procedures, rules and procedures, we will incorporate a certain provision, and that particular provision will be used to conduct investigation whether the exporting country there is a usage of forced labor. There will be investigation, and if we find that there is in fact a forced labor usage there, in such cases we are going to ban the import of these particular products into India. That proposal has been put forward by the Government of India now, and taking this itself, now we have asked the Government of USA, stating that, see, we are doing sufficient to ban the import, prohibit the imports of the goods which are manufactured using forced labor. So do not impose the tariff, penal tariff of 12.5%. Done. So this is one more update. Last two articles from Press Information Bureau. Important articles. Okay. First important article, ultra sensitive ammonia sensor has been developed. Ultra sensitive ammonia sensor. And why is this article important? Some time ago, you must have come across this. There was an accident, industrial accident in one of the places in India. There was a leakage of ammonia, and ammonia is used in multiple industries, by the way, and many people were hospitalized. At the same point of time, many people, right, died because of it. That is inhaling of ammonia. In that particular context, now the Center for Nano and Soft Matter Sciences, CENS, which functions in Bangalore or at Bangalore, has developed a new sensor. This particular new sensor is said to be much more sensitive and will identify the leakages of ammonia at much lower concentrations, which are considered safer, that is, even if you ingest this or even if you inhale it, as of now there is no problem. So even at a much safer, lower than the safer level, if there is, right, let's say leakage of ammonia, these sensors can detect. That is the importance of this article. Please make a note of the authority which has developed this kind of a sensor. Done. Next, CapaCITIES. CapaCITIES. Okay. I took a pause, by the way. CapaCITIES. Why? Capacity, the normal term is not used here. It is a CapaCITIES. CapaCITIES here is a program that has completed 10 years. Right? It's a program which has completed 10 years now. Right? And this acronym basically stands for the acronym basically refers to Capacity Building Project on Low Carbon and Climate Resilient City Development in India. Those who are saying, sir, where is the full form? Here is the full form. Capacity Building Project on Low Carbon and Climate Resilient City Development in India. Capacity. Okay. This is a program which has been funded by Embassy of Switzerland to India and Bhutan. This has come into force from the year 2016 and this has completed 10 years. This has completed 10 years. Done. So that is the reason this particular initiative was there in the PIB. It was not reported in the Hindu newspaper, but you people please make a note of this. So these are the different articles, the concepts as well as the questions I wanted to discuss with you people. Right, please accept my apologies in the beginning. There was certain technical issue, but nevertheless, these kind of things will keep on happening in life. Don't panic, don't worry. We have been able to cover the articles after the initial hiccup. Now, if you have liked the discussion, do not forget to hit the like button. If you are yet to subscribe to the Unacademy IAS YouTube channel, kindly subscribe right now. Thank you. Have a great day. Take care.